Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're inviting you to journey with us to a pretty remote hilltop in southeastern Turkey. We're looking at an archaeological site that's so revolutionary, it's making us rethink almost everything we thought we knew about where human civilization actually started. We're talking about Göbekli Tepe. Now, if you follow archaeology even a little, Göbekli Tepe, that name probably rings a bell. It makes you sit up straight. It gets cited all the time for its incredible age. I mean, it predates Stonehenge by, 6,000 years?
Easily. And the Egyptian pyramids by even more, around 7,000 years.
It's staggering. And we're talking about these huge stone circles, right? With intricate carvings, pillars weighing 10, 20 tons, just sitting up there on this plateau.
Exactly. Massive T-shaped pillars.
But here's the bit that really bends your mind. This enormous complex wasn't built by settled farmers, with fancy tools. It was built by nomadic hunter-gatherers over 11,000 years ago. This isn't just some old ruin. It's a total world shifter, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Göbekli Tepe just fundamentally shatters that old story. The belief that you needed agriculture before you could get complex society or build huge monuments or even have organized religion. It basically turns our whole picture of early human development upside down.
Right. But then there's this other layer, this powerful, widely discussed conspiracy theory. What if Göbekli Tepe isn't just an archaeological puzzle? What if it's sophistication, which seems, inexplicable for the time, its sudden appearance, and the fact that it was mysteriously buried on purpose? What if those aren't just puzzles, but clues? What if this place is proof of a lost, really advanced civilization from before the Ice Age? Or maybe even, ancient alien visitors, and the real story has been deliberately covered up.
And that's exactly what we're going to unpack in this deep dive. Our mission really is twofold. First, we'll lay out the factual details, the mind-bending stuff about Göbekli Tepe's discovery, its age, what mainstream archaeology thinks it means. Then, we're going to peel back the layers on that conspiracy theory, the suppressed history and alien architects angle. We'll look at the claims, the so-called evidence, and then we'll bring it back to the counter-arguments, the more grounded explanations. And finally, maybe think about why this kind of theory takes such a strong hold on people.
Okay, let's unpack it then. The story really gets going in the 1990s, right? With the German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt. He starts digging at this spot that everyone else had basically written off as just like a medieval graveyard.
Yeah, dismissed.
He must have had a hunch, though, because what he found, it sent actual shockwaves through archaeology.
It really did. What he found was Göbekli Tepe means Potbelly Hill in Turkish. It's in southeastern Anatolia, near Şanlıurfa. And it's not just one thing, it's a series of these artificial mounds. Tells, they call them, basically cover up layers and layers of ancient building work. But the crucial part, like you said, is the age. Radiocarbon dating nails the earliest layers, layer 3, to somewhere between 9600 and 8200 BC. So 11,600 to 10,200 years ago. That makes it, hands down, the oldest known megalithic site.
Yeah.
Way older than Stonehenge.
Okay, the age is just incredible. But the people who built it, were they established civilizations or?
That's the truly stunning part. No, we're talking about communities still living in what's called the pre-pottery Neolithic age period, PPNA. These were basically nomadic hunter-gatherers. The whole Neolithic revolution, farming, domesticating animals.
Yeah.
It was either just barely starting or hadn't really kicked off in this area yet.
Hunter-gatherers, building that. That's tough to wrap my head around. How on earth did they pull off something so massive, so complex? What exactly did they build there?
Well, the site has multiple large enclosures. Some are circular, some oval. Only a few have been fully dug out, mind you. But the defining thing is these huge monolithic pillars, T-shaped pillars, usually set in a circle, and often there are two bigger, more decorated ones right in the center. And the size, these things are 10 to 20 feet tall. They weigh, 10 to 20 tons, some maybe even heavier, carved from limestone quarries nearby, and then somehow dragged, lifted, and set up.
And that T-shape is really distinctive. I remember seeing pictures. People think they look like stylized human figures, right?
That's the common interpretation, yes.
Yeah.
The top bar of the T is like a head, the vertical shaft is the body. Some of them even have carvings that look like arms, hands, even loincloths.
Huh.
It strongly suggests they represent gods, spirits, powerful beings of some kind.
And it's not just the shape, the carvings on them or something else. The detail looks amazing in photos.
Oh, it is. The pillars, the benches around them, they're covered in these detailed reliefs, mostly wild animals. You see foxes, snakes, boars, wild cattle or rocks, lions, gazelles, vultures, spiders, scorpions, lots of different birds. And they're depicted with this incredible realism and kind of energy. There are also abstract symbols and these mysterious shapes that look like a capital H Very enigmatic.
Klaus Schmidt called it the first temple, didn't he? A cathedral on a hill. It seems pretty clear it was a major ritual site, a ceremonial place, not somewhere people actually lived day to day.
Right. There's no sign of houses or cooking hearths or big food prep areas.
So people traveled there, gathered for specific reasons, religious maybe, or big community events.
Exactly. And that is the revolutionary implication. Göbekli Tepe just throws this huge challenge to that old archaeological model. The one that says complex society, big buildings, organized religion that all came after farming started. This place suggests maybe it was the other way around. Maybe the desire or the need to build something like this huge ritual center drove people to organize themselves better. And maybe that eventually led them towards agriculture, to feed everyone needed for the building projects. Like Schmidt famously said, first came the temple, then the city.
Wow, that's a massive claim. It literally reverses how we thought things developed. For ages, the accepted story was people settle down, start farming, then they have the time and resources for complex stuff. What is it about Göbekli Tepe that's so undeniable, so different, that it forces this huge rethink?
It's the combination, really. The sheer scale and the clear sophistication of the architecture, combined with that undeniable early date. You've got these monumental structures built by people who, based on the old models, just shouldn't have had the social glue, the organized labor, maybe even the reason to build something so permanent, so elaborate. It forces you to ask, okay, what was driving them? If it wasn't the needs of an agricultural society, what was the big motivation here?
And then adding another layer of mystery. After potentially thousands of years of use, around 8,000 BC, the whole place was deliberately buried, like carefully filled in, with rubble, earth, bits of stone.
Meticulously buried.
Yeah, this wasn't a collapse or just abandonment. It was a huge intentional job, and nobody really knows why. That's still a massive mystery, right?
It's truly one of the most baffling parts. So you see, even just looking at it from the standard archaeological view, Göbekli Tepe is this profound puzzle. It forces us to rewrite humanity's early chapters. But for the conspiracy theorists, its existence, these unanswered questions, they aren't just puzzles. They're seen as deliberate clues to a much bigger hidden story, a suppressed truth.
Okay, let's step into that world for a bit. The rabbit hole, as they say. For the people who think there's something else going on here, how do they connect these dots? What are the main stories that come out of these anomalies? I guess the foundation of the whole suppressed history and alien architects idea is that argument. It's just too advanced for hunter-gatherers.
That's absolutely the starting point. The core argument is, look at the precision, the scale, the artistry. It just seems impossible for nomadic groups using only stone and bone tools. They focus on the engineering. How do you quarry, move, and stand up 10, 20-ton pillars without wheels, without metal tools, without a large settled workforce fed by farms? They also point to alleged astronomical alignments in the stones, and they argue the art is just too refined, too sophisticated for so-called primitive people. Plus, the site seems to appear quite suddenly in the archaeological record, without obvious earlier stages, like a sudden leap forward in ability.
Okay, so if it's too advanced, what are the main explanations coming from that alternative world? I know there are a few different flavors of the theory.
Yeah, there are a few main branches. The first big one suggests Göbekli Tepe is basically a leftover, a remnant of a lost, highly advanced civilization that existed before the last ice age. This idea has been really popularized by writers like Graham Hancock. The theory goes there was this advanced global culture, maybe wiped out by a cataclysm around the end of the ice age. Specifically, they often point to the Younger Dryas period around 12,800 years ago, maybe a comet impact or something similar, that caused massive climate change, floods, destruction.
Ah, right. And this connects to the survivor idea, doesn't it? That some people from this lost civilization survived.
Exactly. So in this view, Göbekli Tepe wasn't built by the local hunter-gatherers initially, but by these survivors, sometimes called the magicians of the gods. They brought their advanced knowledge, architecture, astronomy, maybe spiritual wisdom to the supposedly more primitive people living there at the time. And the purpose wasn't just a temple, maybe it was a place to store knowledge, like a time capsule, or a warning about future disasters. And that deliberate burial, that was about preservation, hiding it from another catastrophe, or maybe hiding it until humanity was ready for the knowledge. This theory often loops in other weird ancient sites or artifacts from around the world, oparts, out-of-place artifacts, suggesting they're all pieces of this lost global pre-Ice Age puzzle.
Okay, so that's the lost civilization angle. What about the other big one, the ancient aliens idea? How does Göbekli Tepe fit into that picture?
Right, the ancient alien or ancient astronaut theory.
Yeah.
Here, the idea is simpler in a way. The advanced knowledge or technology didn't come from lost humans, it came directly from extraterrestrial visitors. These alien architects might have directly helped build the site, maybe giving them tools or even anti-gravity tech, who knows? Or maybe it was more subtle, like they taught the early humans advanced engineering or astronomy or gave them spiritual concepts, maybe even warned them about the Younger Dryas event, basically giving humanity a technological or cultural jumpstart.
So in that scenario, Göbekli Tepe could have been what? A landing pad? A communication hub? Some kind of alien base or lab? Or maybe a temple humans built for the aliens?
And any of those, potentially.
And the carvings, the animals, the symbols, they're interpreted differently then, like maybe alien messages or star charts showing where they came from, or even pictures of the aliens themselves or their ships.
That's the idea. Even the T-pillars themselves could be seen as representing these alien beings. It slots neatly into that whole ancient astronaut framework, the idea that ETs guided early human development.
Okay. And then there's a third, maybe more, esoteric branch. The idea that Göbekli Tepe was some kind of psychic technology or focused on consciousness, that sounds pretty out there. What's the thinking?
Yeah, that's a bit more abstract. The claim here is that the site itself, the layout, the T-pillars, the circles they were designed to interact with, maybe manipulate Earth's natural energy fields. Or perhaps enhance human psychic abilities, maybe facilitate altered states of consciousness, out-of-body experiences, that kind of thing. The specific shapes and alignments are thought to create certain vibrations or resonances that affect consciousness, maybe even connect to other dimensions.
So not just a stone temple, but an engine for spiritual transformation or interdimensional communication, maybe even a weapon using consciousness. And the burial, again, could be about containing that power, hiding its true function or stopping it falling into the wrong hands.
Precisely. So you have these different flavors: lost civilization, ancient aliens, psychic tech. But the common thread running through all of them, the core of the conspiracy part, is the belief that the truth about Göbekli Tepe, whatever it is being deliberately hidden, suppressed.
Right, the cover-up. It's one thing to say mainstream science disagrees, but the conspiracy angle always involves active suppression, a global cabal. It sounds dramatic. Who exactly are they supposed to be, the ones doing the suppressing? And what actions do they allegedly take beyond just saying, we don't agree?
Well, the usual suspects get named. First off, mainstream archaeology and academia itself. They're often accused of being dogmatic, stuck in their ways, unwilling to look at evidence that completely overturns their established timelines and theories. Now, the ideas, their careers, their funding, their reputations are all built on the current model of history. Proof of a lost super civilization or alien contact would just pull the rug out from under them, so they ignore it, ridicule it, block it.
Okay, academia. Who else?
Governments often get pulled in. Turkish government, maybe others, global powers. They're accused of wanting to control the historical narrative, keep things stable. Maybe if the site did hold secrets, advanced tech, alien knowledge, they'd want to keep it classified for military or economic reasons. And there's always the motive of preventing mass panic. Imagine the chaos if it was proven we were visited by aliens or that a global cataclysm wiped out a previous advanced race.
Okay. Governments, academia, anyone else?
Religious institutions sometimes feature. The argument is that their creation stories, their whole cosmologies, would be seriously challenged by proof of ancient aliens or human civilization far older and maybe more advanced than previously thought. So they might subtly work against interpretations that rock the boat. And then, sort of overarching all that, you often get the idea of a shadowy global elite. Secret societies, maybe. A hidden group that thinks the truth is too dangerous for ordinary people. Better to keep humanity in the dark about its true origins or potential.
So the motives are pretty varied. Controlling history, preventing panic, hiding technology, keeping people spiritually unenlightened, maybe even avoiding uncomfortable questions about past disasters. It's a compelling, if dark, picture.
And the alleged methods. How is this suppression supposedly carried out?
Right.
Well, proponents claim it happens through dismissal and ridicule, labeling alternative researchers like Graham Hancock as pseudoscientists or fringe, also controlling the actual excavation and what gets published, ensuring only the safe, accepted interpretations see the light of day, maybe restricting access to certain parts of the site. And then there's misdirection, focusing heavily on the hunter-gatherer aspect while downplaying the engineering challenges that seem to proponents impossible for them. Essentially, the claim is that the official story of our past is a carefully managed narrative designed to hide something profound.
Okay, but the people who believe these alternative theories, they're not just making stuff up out of thin air, are they? They point to specific things at Göbekli Tepe, things they say are actual evidence, proof. Let's look at what they highlight. First, that impossible engineering, the logistics of it all.
Yeah, that's usually point number one. How did they move those huge T-pillars, 10, 20 tons, some nearly 20 feet tall, quarried miles away sometimes, moved and precisely erected, all supposedly with just basic Stone Age tools, no wheels, no draft animals, no metal. Proponents just say, look, that's flat out impossible for hunter-gatherers. It must imply some lost technology or maybe outside help, like from aliens.
So it boils down to the sheer physical effort seems beyond what we imagine for that time period.
Right.
Just muscle and basic levers wouldn't cut it, they argue.
That's the core of it. And linked to that is another key piece of their puzzle. The supposed astronomical alignments, especially concerning one specific pillar, Pillar 43, often called the Vulture Stone. Some researchers, particularly those outside the mainstream, claim the carvings on it, the animals, the symbols aren't just random. They say it's a star map. Or even more specifically, a depiction of the constellations around the time of that Younger Dryas impact event, about 10,950 BC. They see the animals as star patterns, the H symbols as markers. Now, if that interpretation were right, it would mean these hunter-gatherers had incredibly sophisticated knowledge of the stars, way beyond what's expected, and it would be a direct record of that cataclysm, backing up the lost civilization idea.
And the animal carvings themselves, the types of animals are seen as significant too, right? Lots of predators, dangerous things, vultures, snakes, scorpions, spiders, but not many or any domestic animals.
Exactly. Conspiracy theorists argue this isn't just decoration reflecting their environment, it's coded. Maybe the animals are the star maps. Maybe they depict alien beings or their symbols. Or perhaps they're warnings related to that Younger Dryas disaster.
And those weird H symbols and other abstract shapes that archaeologists admit they don't fully understand.
Yeah, those get seized upon too. If mainstream science can't explain them, maybe they are something else. Schematics for lost tech, energy symbols, alien writing.
Then there's the burial, that deliberate, massive effort to bury the entire site. Why would hunter-gatherers do that? It seems counterintuitive.
Right. Proponents say that points strongly towards it not being simple abandonment. It suggests a conscious act of preservation, hiding it from some threat, maybe another predicted cataclysm, or from future generations not ready for it. Or maybe containment sealing off something powerful, like an energy source or a portal. The phrase you sometimes hear is, they didn't abandon it, they hid it.
Also, that sudden appearance argument. The idea that Göbekli Tepe seems to burst onto the scene fully formed, without clear, simpler precursors.
Yeah, they argue this lack of obvious evolutionary stages suggests the knowledge didn't develop locally over time. It implies an external injection of know-how, either from survivors of that lost civilization or directly from alien teachers. A sudden leap forward.
And some people who visit the site report feeling weird things. Strange energy, dizziness, a sense of spiritual intensity.
Those anecdotal reports get cited too, as evidence perhaps of the site's real purpose manipulating energy fields or consciousness.
Okay. And finally, they often connect Göbekli Tepe to other mysterious ancient sites around the world, right? Like Baalbek in Lebanon, or Pumapunku in Bolivia, or the dating controversies around the Sphinx in Egypt.
Exactly. It's presented as not just one anomaly, but one crucial piece of a global pattern. All these sites, they argue, defy conventional timelines and construction methods. They must all be remnants of a single lost global civilization that predates known history, probably wiped out in a cataclysm. And the truth about all of them is being suppressed.
So that's a compelling package of claims they put together. But mainstream science, archaeology, geology, anthropology, they look at the same site, the same evidence, and come to vastly different conclusions. They overwhelmingly reject the lost civilization alien architect theories. Why? What are the counter-arguments? How do they explain these alleged anomalies?
Well, let's take the engineering first, the impossible feat of moving those stones. Archaeologists push back strongly on impossible. They argue that while it was incredibly difficult, it was feasible for large, well-organized groups of people using basic techniques. Think rollers, levers, ropes, maybe building earthen ramps. We know other ancient cultures managed astonishing feats of megalithic construction without high-tech tools. Look at the Easter Islanders moving the Moai, or the builders of Stonehenge. What Göbekli Tepe really forces us to do is upgrade our estimation of what hunter-gatherer societies were capable of, especially in terms of social organization and coordinating massive labor projects. It suggests complexity could come before farming, not just after.
So it's more about us underestimating ancient ingenuity rather than invoking lost tech or aliens. We project our reliance on machines onto them.
Pretty much. And what about those astronomical alignments, the Vulture Stone star map?
Right, the star map claim.
Mainstream archaeology views those interpretations as highly speculative. Often it looks like cherry-picking symbols and forcing them to fit constellations. It's easy to find patterns if you look hard enough. There's absolutely no consensus among archaeologists or archaeoastronomers that Pillar 43 represents the Younger Dryas impact or is a precise star map. That specific interpretation is very controversial and not widely accepted at all.
Okay, and the animal symbolism, the predators, the lack of farm animals.
Well, animal symbols are everywhere in ancient art. It's often tied to hunting magic, shamanistic beliefs, clan totems, spirits of the wild. The animals carved at Göbekli Tepe are the ones that lived in that environment 11,000 years ago. It reflects their world, their hunter-gatherer concerns. Vultures, for example, were often associated with death in the sky, important themes in many early religions. As for the 8 symbols and other abstracts, yeah, we don't know exactly what they mean, but unknown doesn't automatically equal alien tech diagrams. Lots of ancient art uses abstract symbols we can't decipher now.
And the burial, that huge effort to fill it all in. If not hiding or containing something, why?
There are several plausible mainstream explanations. It might have been a ritual act, respectfully closing down a sacred space when its time was over. That happened at other ancient sites. Or it could have been practical preservation, protecting the older structures from weather erosion or later disturbance before building new enclosures nearby or even on top. We know later layers were built. Or maybe beliefs just changed over the centuries. People decided to respectfully bury the old gods or temples and move on, like building a new church over an old one.
Okay, and the sudden appearance? No precursors.
That's likely a misconception based on incomplete data. We've only excavated a tiny fraction of the Göbekli Tepe site. Who knows what lies beneath the unexcavated mounds? It's entirely possible, even probable, that earlier, simpler phases of construction will be found, showing a gradual development. Our understanding of that whole pre-pottery Neolithic period is constantly evolving, partly because of Göbekli Tepe. It's revolutionary because it pushes back the timeline for complexity, filling in a gap in our knowledge. It's not that it appeared from nowhere, it's that we didn't know complexity could exist that early.
And fundamentally, is there any actual physical evidence, like a tool that shouldn't exist or materials not from Earth?
No, that's the bottom line for mainstream science.
Yeah.
There are no tools found that are beyond the capabilities of Stone Age people. All the stone is local limestone. There's simply no scientifically verifiable evidence, zero, of alien involvement, lost super technology, or a global pre-Ice Age civilization having built Göbekli Tepe.
And the cover-up idea, is the site being hidden?
Not at all. That's easily debunked. Göbekli Tepe is being openly excavated by international teams of archaeologists. Findings are published in academic journals, debated at conferences. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a major tourist destination. Far from being suppressed, it's celebrated. The archaeological community is incredibly excited about it, precisely because it challenges old ideas. And people like Graham Hancock, who push the alternative theories. They sell millions of books, have popular shows on major streaming platforms. That's hardly suppression. Their ideas are out there, widely available. They just haven't convinced the scientific mainstream because the evidence isn't there.
Okay, so we have these detailed scientific explanations for pretty much every anomaly the conspiracy theories point to, and yet these alternative ideas about Göbekli Tepe, the lost civilizations, the aliens, the cover-up, they remain incredibly popular, really persistent. Why do you think that is? What's the enduring appeal?
It's a fascinating question, isn't it? I think it's a mix of things. Partly, Göbekli Tepe is genuinely mysterious and mind-bending, even within the mainstream view. It really does challenge our assumptions about the past, leaving this kind of vacuum that alternative theories can easily fill. The scientific explanation, while revolutionary, might feel almost less satisfying than a story about lost golden ages or cosmic visitors. It taps into that desire for history to be more epic, more magical.
Right. It's almost like the scale of the place demands a more spectacular explanation than just really clever hunter-gatherers.
Exactly. And that ties into the too advanced narrative. We modern humans often have this bias, this tendency to underestimate what people could achieve in the past without our kind of technology. Seeing those massive stones, knowing they were moved by people without wheels or metal, it just feels impossible on an intuitive level. Even if archaeologists can show plausible methods, that feeling opens the door to other explanations.
And certainly a general distrust of official narratives, whether from academia or government, probably plays a part too.
Definitely. When mainstream science says, we were wrong, hunter-gatherers were more complex than we thought, some people hear that initial surprise and ongoing debate as evidence of confusion or even dishonesty. It can feed into a pre-existing distrust of experts or authority.
And you mentioned Graham Hancock earlier. His influence seems pretty significant in popularizing these ideas, specifically linking Göbekli Tepe to a lost Ice Age civilization.
Oh, massively. His books and documentaries have reached a huge audience, presenting Göbekli Tepe as Exhibit A, in his case, for a forgotten epoch of human history.
Yeah.
He's a very compelling storyteller, and he's made this site central to that alternative narrative.
And that deliberate burial, it's just such an intriguing, unanswered question.
Yeah.
Even if the ritual explanation is plausible, the sheer effort involved makes it easy to imagine a more dramatic reason, like hiding a dangerous secret.
It absolutely adds to the mystique. It practically begs for a more conspiratorial explanation.
So ultimately, maybe it also connects to a deeper human need, a search for meaning.
I think so. The idea that maybe we're not the first advanced civilization on Earth, or that maybe we had help from up there, it can offer a sense of deeper purpose, a connection to something vast and ancient. In a complex, sometimes frightening modern world, looking back for a lost golden age or cosmic guidance can be deeply appealing. It gives our story a different kind of weight. So, yeah, the Göbekli Tepe, suppressed history and alien architects theory, really takes this genuinely revolutionary archaeological find and spins it into this captivating story. Hidden power, profound secrets. It recasts these ancient stones not as the work of unexpectedly sophisticated early humans, but as monuments built by forgotten superhumans or even ETs, with the truth deliberately hidden from us by shadowy forces.
And while mainstream archaeology, embraces Göbekli Tepe precisely because it forces us to rethink human origins, but finds no actual scientific proof for aliens or a lost global super race, that alternative story just keeps echoing. Its power seems to come from the site's real mysteries, the way it challenges what we thought we knew, and maybe that deep-seated human wish for our past to be, well, more extraordinary than we imagined, well, more connected to the cosmos, perhaps. So as we think about Göbekli Tepe, these ancient stones whispering from, 11,000 years ago? It leaves you wondering, doesn't it? Is it just incredible proof of the ingenuity, the social complexity, the spiritual depth of early hunter-gatherers pushing boundaries we never thought they reached? Or is it something else? A deliberate message, a time capsule left behind, maybe even a warning from an age we've forgotten. Its real meaning, perhaps deliberately obscured by those who don't want us to know. The answer, for now anyway, is still locked in the stone. But that question, that captivating what-ifs surrounding Göbekli Tepe, it definitely keeps echoing, doesn't it? Right through the foundations of how we see ourselves